In this video, we will learn how to calculate the factorial of a number entered by the user. So in this video, we'll be working with two PHP files. The first one is a factorial form, which pretty much is our user interface. And then the second page is the factorial calc, which actually does the calculation and displays the results to the user. So let's start with this with the interface one or they're both HTML. They both contain HTML code and PHP within them. So we'll start off by creating a form that sets the action to the second page, which is factorial calc. I'm going to copy it so it's easier for me to work on, where the form data will be sent for processing when the form is submitted using the post method. So that's another useful tip for us. So the action is to be action to factorial underscore calc.php, and the method is equal to post. Okay. Next, we want to use the form. The form will actually contain an input field, and that input field is set to type number. The reason why we've chosen number is because we want to make sure that the user actually enters a valid numeric value and not strings or anything of that sort. And we also want in our form a submit button. So let's go ahead and do that. So we've got a input field called the type is equal to number. And we want to give it an ID. And the reason why I want to use an ID is because I want to create a label. And we also need to give it a name attribute because we want to be able to access whatever the user enters from the post array using the name attribute. Okay, let's have a submit button as well. So the button type is equal to submit. And what we want to be displayed on the button is whatever we type in here. So that's calculate factorial. Close off our button. And we want to close off our form. Okay, let's just save and refresh. Let's see what this looks like. I've also want to say that I've got my XAMPP web server running at the same time. Okay, so because we've used the number field, we actually have this nice looking number field here. And we've also got a calculate factorial, which takes us to the factorial underscore calc page, which doesn't have anything except for comments. So it's not really doing much. But the reason why we want to add a label because it's not really very clear what the user needs to do. So let's create a label. And now we want to associate that label to this ID. So equal to number. So here we can tell the user some useful message like enter a number, and we close off our label. We can also make this field a required field in the sense that we don't want the form to submit unless the user types in something. So it's some sort of client-side validation. So it won't let me submit if I don't put in anything. And the thing is, I don't know, I spelled this wrong, so enter. And the thing about this label is associated. So as soon as I just click on this text here, it takes me to this input field because we've associated it with the number ID here. Okay, so if I put in a number, it keeps on going. But if I put in a string and I try to submit, it says, please enter a number because we've specified that the type here is a number. So the interface is pretty much completed. Let's move to the second part, which is calculating the factorial. Now in this one, I've got a couple of, what I've got is I've got a HTML code that's got the head, the title. So that's the title shown up here. And I've got an opening tag for starting off some PHP code and then closing off the rest of the HTML elements. So let's start with the first comment here. We want to check if the number field is set in the post data. Basically what that means if the form was submitted. So in this case, we will be using the isSet language construct. So I've written it here so that don't confuse it. So if is set, and now we want to access the post array. So post, and now from the name attribute that we've specified, we've called it number. So basically that's what we are, and open and close it off here. So basically here what we're saying is if the form was submitted, and is set here is a language construct that's used to determine if a variable is set and is not null. So basically we're saying if there's nothing coming in as empty, because although we've got client-side validation, but we haven't got any server-side validation except for checking that there's actually something that was saved into the number form data that's got the name number. Okay. All right. Next, what we want to do is we want to convert the input value from string to integer using int val, and that's a function. So let's do that, and let's store the result. So if I say int val, and we can convert that value number that was entered by the user into an integer. Now this is going to be lost if we don't store the value in a variable, and let's call it number that we can refer to. So here what we've done is we're making sure that we're working with a numeric value for the calculation. Let's just save and refresh and make sure we haven't got anything silly. Okay, no errors so far, so that's good. Okay, next what we want to do is we want to check if the entered number is non-negative, since factorials are defined only for positive numbers. So here's an example. The factorial of 1 is 1, a factorial of 0 is 1, a factorial of 2 is equal to 2 times 1 is equal to 2, and 3 is 3 times 2 times 1. So we want to do this using a for loop, but let's just come back here and do the check. If that number that we've stored into, oh gosh, okay, hold on a second, let me fix myself. Okay, if that number that we've stored into the variable is greater or equal to 0, then we know it's a positive number. That's when we want to proceed. Probably I'll end it here. Okay. All right, let's come back here, come back down. So now what we want to do is we want to work on the math of the factorial. So let's do that. Let's calculate the factorial of a number. You're using a for loop. So for actually before that, let's set a variable called factorial. Let me spell it correctly first. Factorial is equal to 1. Okay. Next, what we want to do, let's just give it that. We want to start with 1. Oh, sorry, we want to end, yeah, so that's just the value that we want to multiply. So we'll do the loop. You can do the decrement or increment. I'm going to go with the decrement approach, similar to what we've got here. So I'm just going to do that. So let's put it in a variable called I, and we will start off with the value of the number. So if that number is 4, then we start with 4. And then if don't forget the $sign to indicate that we're working with a variable, is greater than or equal to 1. That's when we want to stop. And I++. Next here, we want to end it somewhere here. Okay. So here we want to put in the value, a new value for the factorial, which will be itself multiplied by I, the value of I. So initially 1 times 4, like let's say we're working with this one because it's a bit shorter. So it's going to be 4 times 1. And the next time it's going to be 4 times 3. So that's going to be 12. The next time is going to be 12 times 2, which is 24. And the next round is going to be 24 times 1, which is 1. And then the loop will stop because I becomes 1. Okay, I hope that made sense, but we'll look at how this works. Next, we want to display the results of the factorial. So we will use echo for that, and we can embed some HTML. So that's a paragraph. And here we'll say the factorial of the number variable is factorial, whatever's saved in the factorial. And yeah, let's just close it off. And something is not looking right here. What have we got there? Number, it's a semicolon. Okay. So is expecting a semicolon. Unexpected variable I. Oh, I just had to save it. Okay. So it seems, oh, okay. So see, I can't see what's going on, but I know that's been stuck some, the mistake, I've got a logical error. Because here, that's a plus plus, it should be a minus minus. I did stress that I'm going to use a decrement approach, but I didn't actually do anything. Okay, so the factorial is 5 is giving us a 120, which is pretty much correct. Okay, next what we want to do is if the calculated factorial, sorry, if it's not a positive number, then we want to echo that to the user. So else, here we'll have an else. So we just want to tell the user, please enter a positive number. Okay, let's see how that works. Hold on a second. Yeah. Got an unclosed thing. So that's, hold on. So this is, no. That's the close of if the thing is a positive, else, yeah, I need one more. Took me time to figure this out. Okay, so if I say 6, it's given us 720. If I say 4, it's saying 24. But if I say -3, that's gonna go through on the client side. But because we've got the check here, it says please enter a positive number. So that's pretty much it for our work for today. I hope it was helpful, and I'll see you in the next one.